Jamelia. What? It's on mute.
All right.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, soon-to-be Dr. Tim. Are you all seeing those pop-ups on the screen?
You said
Yes,
the
ma'am.
pop-ups.
Welcome, everyone. We're going to get started as folks are entering the room. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Can you all hear me? Sound okay? Sound check? Wonderful. Greetings, everyone, and welcome. I am Dr. Pamela Felder-Small, founder of Black Doctorates Matter. It is my profound honor to welcome you to our official United Nations Permanent Forum on People of African Descent, 5th session side event teaching, the virtual village safeguarding the psychosocial and structural experiences of Black doctoral scholars. Before we begin our formal work today, it is critical that we ground this space in excuse me, some technical issues. There we go. It's important that we ground this session in some important principles. Dr. Maulana Karenga reminds us through the principle of Ujima, collective work and responsibility, that we must build and maintain our community together. He reminds us that for an education to be useful to the community meant that it must cultivate and produce intellectual activists, scholars, and professionals who are committed and prepared to serve the community, to aid it in its struggles for cultural and political liberation, social and racial justice, and political and economic empowerment. We are actively reclaiming our cultural knowledge within the landscape of doctoral education tonight. So our work today is guided deeply by the philosophy of Sankofa, the understanding that we must reach back to gather the best of what our past has to teach us so that we can achieve our full potential as we move forward. We do this not just for ourselves, but in a direct effort to meet the vital mandate established by the Permanent Forum on People of African Descent. And as you can see on the screen, that mandate calls upon us to offer advice and recommendations on matters concerning the protection, the promotion, and respect of all human rights of people of African descent. Through this teaching, we are answering that global call. To meet the mandate, our goal tonight is to promulgate the principles outlined in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights as they apply to the Black doctoral experience. Specifically, we are fiercely working here to uphold Article 26 that guarantees the right to education directed to the full development of the human personality, meaning an education free from systemic isolation and psychosocial harm. Equally important is Article 27 that protects the right to freely participate in the cultural life of the community and to share in scientific advancement and its benefits. Black scholars have a fundamental right to produce knowledge safely. The full scope and text of these articles will be available in the chat. Now, to safeguard these rights, we need builders, right? It is my great privilege to introduce our featured panelists for our evening. I call them visionary architects of the virtual village, and they are soon-to-be Dr. Nathaniel Smith, founder of Dissertating While Black, Dr. Jamelia Nicole Harris, CEO, Write Your Dissertation, Sis, soon-to-be Dr. Herd, co-founder and director of strategy and culture for the Doctoral Student Writing Collective, and Dr. John C. Turner, host and founder of the Doc Chat. These scholars have recognized the structural gaps in traditional academia and have stepped into the breach to construct life-sustaining ecosystems for our community. They are doing the active work of reparatory justice. Furthermore, expanding our village means ensuring we always pass the mic to the next generation of thought leaders. Later in the program, during our action planning segment, we will be joined by our exceptional cohort of newly minted scholars, Dr. Courtney Johnson, Dr. Melissa Nelson, Dr. Crystal Smith Morgan, and Dr. Daveon Swan. They will demonstrate exactly how their groundbreaking research connects directly to the human rights frameworks we are discussing today. Finally, I invite you to learn more about the work of Black Doctorates Matter. You can find us on LinkedIn, and you can also find out more about the initiatives represented here today. We'll be posting information in the chat so you can get to know who we are. Please know that the teaching is not a passive experience. It is intentionally designed to facilitate interactive dialogue. Please use the chat feature to inform us what you are working on. And when you are posting about this event in social media, please use the hashtag PFPAD5 and hashtag fight racism. We need your voices. We need your reflections in the chat, your questions during the Q&A, and your collective wisdom as we develop our formal recommendations for the United Nations Secretariat. You are not just attendees tonight, you are active participants in this human rights work. And with that being said, I'm going to turn the mic over to soon-to-be Dr. Nathaniel Smith.
Thank you, Dr. Pam, for that wonderful introduction. Thank you for the invitation. Just want to offer my supreme respect and thanks and greetings to you all, especially my esteemed colleagues who you will hear from later. Blessings to you all who are zooming in from near and far, especially those from around the world. Special shout out to big brother, Dr. Derek McKenzie, all those from the UK who always show love to Dissertating While Black. As well, I want to shout out my lovely wife who is on the Zoom call tonight. Thank you, honey, for your support. So I would like to lead off by addressing the three core pillars of intentionality, guiding frameworks, and community building resources. First, what is the specific purpose and focus of Dissertating While Black? So Dissertating While Black is a solution-oriented initiative that aims to increase the low percentage of Black males pursuing doctorate degrees. Nationwide, only 0.01% of the population earn doctorates, and Black males make up roughly about 2% of the 0.01%. So for us, doctoral education is not simply 3 bars, a TAM, and a title. For Black people, doctoral education is a human rights and social justice issue and helps to advance Blacks' social mobility to change the material conditions that uplift our communities. Our guiding principle, it takes a village to raise a doctor. Inspired by the ancient African proverb, it does take a village to raise a child. So our guiding principle is Afrocentric and rooted in our Blackness. Our purpose, to create a sense of belonging among Black male peers who have a shared understanding of what it means to be a Black male pursuing a doctoral degree. Our mission, for Black male doctoral students to connect, collaborate, and commune for the express purpose of supporting each other towards the completion of our doctoral degrees. As well, our mission drives us to incorporate prospective students and doctoral degree holders for greater reach around connection, collaboration, and community. Our vision, to create legacy and impact by amplifying the voices of Black males in doctoral education who aim to use their research to empower and uplift each other and all Black people. Next, our guiding frameworks. So what theoretical or practical frameworks guide the development of Dissertating While Black? We draw upon African ontology related to Ndinkra symbolism, such as Bwami na mi mwawo, which means help me and let me help you. This honors our Black heritage and strength it takes to effect positive change together and embodies our shared doctoral journey defined by our cooperation and interdependence. We also draw upon Dr. Derek Broom's ontological framing of Black maleness, which is a co-identity that highlights being Black and male. Black maleness gives Black males meaning and is resistant to dominant stereotypes of Black males in media, society, sports, and education. Black maleness is a form of identity development that positively affirms Black masculinities and resists anti-Blackness and anti-Black maleness or Black misandry. Dr. Kiana Maria Ross argued anti-Blackness is the utter disdain of Black people and their very existence. And Dr. Brooms argued Black misandry is the irrational hatred of Black males as a result of societal, institutional, and individual beliefs and practices. Aspects of Dr. Kimberly Crenshaw's intersectionality framework are also embedded in Black maleness. Lastly, Dissertating While Black is firmly rooted in Drs. Jalissa Clark and Derek Broom's unapologetic Black inquiry, a theoretical framing that centers Black humanity and liberation through Black defiance and dissident knowledge, and by examining the intersections of anti-Blackness in institutions. Our intentionality in focusing on Blackness is our way to emphasize and position Blackness as resistance, liberation, and empowerment for Black males. Unapologetic Black inquiry uses an Afrocentric paradigm that centers and relocates Blackness and Black people, Black males specifically, from the margins to the center and gives them agency. As well, unapologetic Black inquiry is overly obsessed, with humanizing Black males' identities and experiences, and confronts and challenges and problematizes whiteness and white supremacist ideology and racial logics that dehumanize and repositions Black males as other, subhuman, and criminal. Lastly, community building resources. So what specific tools and resources do we draw upon to build and sustain our virtual community? And in what ways does this work support the human rights of the stakeholders we serve? Dissertating While Black supports the right to education, Article 26, and the right to culture, Article 27 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights via a four-pronged approach to community education and engagement. 1. Wisdom affirmations to empower us to finish our doctorates. As the saying goes, when an elder dies, a library burns to the ground. Therefore, it is vitally important for us to protect and maintain our knowledge systems and traditions by seeking the wisdom of our elders. 2. Spiritual grounding to connect us to each other. As the scripture says in 2 Timothy 1:7, for God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and sound mind. And as D.L. Hughley says, Black folk, we love us some God. So therefore, we seek to pierce the veil of the ivory tower and decolonize the doctoral process through spirituality or a guided deep sense of brotherhood and faith. We affirm that as a collective, it takes faith beyond ourselves to make it successfully into doctorhood. Can I get an amen? Number 3, musical expression to inspire us towards greatness. The singing of the Black National Anthem, Lift Every Voice and Sing, in all of its verses, serves as the bass drop that amplifies Black men's voices in doctoral education and the melody that ties us to our ancestors. And 4, blackout rooms, what's traditionally known as breakout rooms, just to be us, to explore our lived experiences. These breakout rooms are communal discussion spaces that address what Dr. Sean Harper calls onlyness and offers a time of reflection and sharing, encouragement, and engagement. I'll end by saying that Dissertating While Black is still growing, but at the moment, we offer community education and engagement through the lens of social, racial, and educational justice during our Black History Month virtual event in February and in-person pop-up events across the nation during our Liberation Month of June and in December during our season of Kwanzaa. Thank you, everyone. It's been my pleasure. I can't wait to hear from my colleagues.
Thank you, soon to be Dr. Nathaniel Smith, for that wonderful overview of Dissertating While Black. We appreciate you so much. Next up is Dr. Jamelia Harris of Write Your Dissertation, sis. Dr. Harris, the mic is yours.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. First and foremost, Ashe, my brother Nathaniel, we appreciate you so much for evoking the spirit in this space. I am feeling it. And I just want to say deep, deep gratitude to you for everything that you do, for our community and lifting us up and really making sure that you are connecting Black women with our mission. I see you and I appreciate you. And I want to say good evening, everyone. It's always just so inspiring to be in community with brilliant Black folks who are doing this work for our collective liberation. I am Dr. Jamelia Harris, and I have the honor of being the CEO and founder of Write Your Dissertation, Sis. And I'm so honored to be in this virtual village with you all tonight. So in the next 10 minutes, I want to share with you all how Write Your Dissertation, Sis is building the village that holds Black women scholars. I want to share with you all why we exist and how you can get engaged in the work that we are carrying forward. And I want to start out with sharing just a little bit about the why behind this work. I started this work because I know what it's like to navigate the dissertation process without the support that you need to thrive. 6 years ago, I defended my dissertation, which centered on the criminalization of Black girls in my community in front of some of the most brilliant minds in the field, including Professor Kimberly Crenshaw, Dr. Tyrone Howard, Dr. Pedro Noguera. And that journey began when I was just 22 years old. I had the big dream of applying to UCLA's PhD program as a first-generation McNair scholar and Black girl from Southern California who was really connected to this work from the beginning as a community organizer that was really thinking about the gender dimensions of the criminalization of Black girls in school spaces. And especially after learning that Black girls in my hood, in my community, were being suspended and expelled at some of the highest rates in Southern California. I really saw this work as my liberation task, and I was so excited to be able to attend my dream university on a full ride. And before I was even admitted, a professor had asked me to come down to UCLA, and he pulled me aside and he told me, sis, to be honest, there are some folks here who don't want to admit you. They're a little bit nervous because of your age, and they are not certain whether or not you are prepared for this journey. And he asked me, are you sure you're ready? Because no one is going to be there to hold your hand. And that moment stuck with me. But here's what I've learned since then. Needing someone to hold your hand isn't a sign of weakness. It's a quiet wisdom. It's the ancestral nudge in knowing that none of us gets through this journey alone, but we get through it because we're held. And yet the data tells us that too many Black women scholars are navigating this journey without being held at all. Only 4.4% of doctoral degrees go to Black women. Nearly 60% of Black women experience symptoms of depression, and only 12% seek help. Oftentimes because seeking help in academic spaces still feels like a risk that we can't afford. And this is why we know that access to culturally competent care and community support is not a luxury, but it's an essential lifeline for so many Black women scholars in this work. Write Your Dissertation, Sis was built with this in mind. We really center our framework around three things: providing clarity. Clarity means that we help scholars align their writing with their voice and navigate the hidden rules of academia. And we really center Black feminist praxis as the framework through which we help Black women scholars find their voices, because so often academia teaches us that our mother tongue isn't good enough, right? That we aren't scholarly enough if we write in language that doesn't necessarily align with those in positions of power. And so a lot of that really requires an unlearning of what it means to be seen as a scholar. Consistency means that we build writing habits through co-writing sessions and structured feedback. And the most important piece that holds this all together is the community. Community means that we root scholars in a circle of Black women scholars who understand the weight of what they're carrying. And I really emphasize here that this community isn't just about finishing a dissertation, but it's really about keeping Black women whole along the journey. And for those of you who don't know, Write Your Dissertation, Sis is a fairly new community. We officially launched in December of 2024. Our first coaching cohort filled within the first 2 weeks of our launch with 10 Black women scholars. And since then, we have served over 500 Black women across 20 states and several countries. We also recently had the deep honor of partnering with the American Association of University Women and now serve as an anchor programming assistant for their Level Up program, supported by the Coca-Cola Foundation, which is our first major institutional partnership. And we are so excited to continue to build on this foundation to expand support for women scholars. Our community is nearly 1,400 women strong and growing. Our mailing list continues to grow as well. And this growth has really been organic. It's been trust-based and alum-driven, because when something works, the word travels. And our sister scholars have been our biggest advocates and ambassadors in really spreading the word. And tonight's session is really centered around safeguarding the psychosocial and structural experiences of Black doctoral scholars. And that's exactly what Write Your Dissertation, Sis was built to do. This space really embodies what Bell Hooks describes as a home place, as a crucial radical site of resistance where Black women are nurtured with dignity and self-worth in the face of dehumanizing systems. Write Your Dissertation, Sis offers a home place for so many Black women scholars, and we've really provided the psychosocial support through affirming community and wellness-centered coaching. We provide structural support by teaching scholars the hidden rules of academia so that they can finish on their terms. And we build sisterhood as strategy, because we recognize that isolation is a structural problem and belonging is how we solve it. We teach Black women how to write impactful dissertations, and we hold them while we do it. Most recently, Write Your Dissertation, Sis celebrated the fact that 3 Black women scholars in our inaugural cohort that began this January of 2024 were recognized as AERA Outstanding Dissertation Award recipients, which means 33% of the Black women in our first coaching community won the AERA Dissertation of the Year award and will be honored at this upcoming American Education Research Association conference. This really means the world to me. And to reflect on some of the things that our award winners have shared about this community, Dr. Destiny, who will be honored with the AERA Outstanding Dissertation Award, shares that this program is love in action. What other program centers wellness specifically for Black women scholars? And Dr. Miranda similarly shares that this community has really offered her the accountability and the sisterhood that allowed her to see that she wasn't alone. And we also hear from Dr. Venus Watson, who won the Qualitative Dissertation of the Year award. And these are all Black mother scholars, by the way. I want to name that because that is really another additional layer of caretaking responsibilities that oftentimes really push many Black women scholars out of their program. All 3 of these are Black mother scholars. And in the words of Dr. Venus Watson, she shares that Write Your Dissertation, Sis is a space where Black women are affirmed, poured into, and held. And her words really reflect the heart of our mission. And I think back to what I shared about that professor who told me at 22 years old that no one would be there to hold my hand. And I really continue to be in awe at how this village that we've built continues to hold Black women scholars. And here are some ways that you all can get plugged in. I'm going to drop the link to our Stand store, which is where you can access all of the links, including our free resources, in the chat. But you can also scan the QR code. You can join the waitlist for our next Write Your Dissertation Sis cohort, which is a 6-month coaching and wellness experience. You can register for our monthly free writing sessions, Write with Sis, that happen the last Monday of each month. Or you can learn more about some of our resources and upcoming events. Next month, we have Storytelling in the Dissertation Defense, our signature workshop that we offer each cohort for all of our scholars. So whatever stage that you're in, there's always a way for you to get engaged in this work. And I want to thank you all so much for welcoming Write Your Dissertation Sis into this village tonight. Black women scholars do not need to prove our worth. We need space to build legacies that free us all. Thank you all so much.
Wonderful presentation, Dr. Harris. Thank you very much for sharing that insightful look at what you're doing with Write Your Dissertation, Sis. Such important work. And now we're going to transition to soon-to-be-DoctorTim Herd, who is the co-founder and director of strategy and culture for the Doctoral Student Writing Collective. Tim, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you, Dr. Harris. I appreciate it. Let me get this in presentation mode. Thank you for that, and shouts out to another brewing out here doing a thing and being the change that you want to see. So that's inspiring. I want to give you a flower, sis. You're doing incredible work. And it's awesome to finally share space with you. So yeah. All right, y'all. Hello, my name is Tim Herd. I am a PhD candidate over at UCLA, wrapping up May 13th. I just scheduled my defense date today, so I'm happy about that. Get this done and prepare for next steps. But I want to talk about the Doctoral Student Writing Collective. So the Doctoral Student Writing Collective is a global online writing organization for scholars of color. Scholars navigating the dissertation and coursework, along with faculty who are also welcome. We started this organization, myself and my co-founder, Dr. Daveon Swan, who is an assistant professor at Jackson State University this year. We started in January of 2024. And one of the reasons that we began this group, similar to what Dr. Harris was speaking about, is just not feeling that support in a way. I think her and we happened to get introduced by another person who will be speaking, another doctor, Dr. John Turner. And he had us on and we were sharing our experiences about just navigating our respective doctoral programs. And after I was like, yo, like, I'm going through some of the same stuff you're going through. Feelings of isolation, feelings of just not feeling included. And then being in a space where you felt tolerated but not really accepted. And I think for me, I was really kind of like, I'm tired of feeling that way. And a lot of my work before starting my doctoral program was organizing, starting with the mentoring organization when I was an undergrad, that's 9 years old this year, and the Black Alumni Association for my city, and a few other organizations. So I was really into organizing, and I told her, like, why don't we come together and why don't we put something together, not just for ourselves, but for other doctoral students. So that's kind of how it came together, and we started to build out. So this is Dr. Skill. I want to give my sister her flowers. She's not here because she's actually holding down the writing session, because we're writing right now, so we're doing what we talk about and getting through it. But I definitely want to give my sister her flowers, because without her being, my thought partner and just my sister, I wouldn't be in this space. So I definitely want to honor and uplift her and just give her roses. But yeah, so it's Dr. Askew. But yeah, the mission is to invite graduate students from across the country to build community, fellowship, and support one another in writing projects. It's also an opportunity to create a safe space for productive work and accountability. Accountability goes a long way, whether it be in person or virtual, but knowing that other people are holding you accountable for something, it helps increase the investment. It makes it feel like other people really care. And I think when you see that folks care, people are more than willing to go along and dig a little bit deeper, especially when times get tough. And this doctoral program is a journey, to say the least. And it's also to provide resources for graduate students and provide room for collaboration. So I'll talk about the data and stuff a little bit later, but this space has really been a labor of love for us. We really wanted to move out and be the change that we wanted to see, and just really get folks together under a common mission. That mission being to complete our respective doctoral degrees and get through it. So that's something that we really leaned into. And we really lead. We start off with music every writing session. So we always, playing some tunes, and we'll have folks come in, and we just really like, people show up as they are. So, whether you're in a, your jogging pants, or you're in a suited and booted, or you got your scarf on. I usually have my do-rag on a lot, to be honest. And we just chill, and we come together and we hang out. We just accept each other as we are. But it's a space for folks to really share out and just talk, and also write together and to hold one another accountable. So in terms of our writing session interviews, so we write for 3 hours from 4 to 7 p.m. Eastern time, 4 to 7 p.m. Pacific time, 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern time. And we write for 3 hours. You don't have to stay the whole time, but we write, and then we do like the Pomodoro technique. So we take a break in between time. We take a group photo, and then we repeat until the end. So we continue to do this. And this in a way is kind of like our formula a little bit. But yeah, we get together and we have folks just write. And, as you continue to show up, and what we've seen is folks continue to show up, the more comfortable they get with one another in terms of just having that community and feeling more comfortable sharing out. So one of the things that we do, just a little bit of literature is just the struggle of doctoral students. So talking about mental health, talking about unhealthy well-being, high stress levels, politics and imposter syndrome, 60% dropout rate for doctoral students, 68% for students of color. And for Black students in particular, we talk about systemic racism, navigating feelings of exclusion, especially if you're at a Research 1 or R1 institution. Inconsistent faculty support. Just depending on the faculty member you might work with. They might be more well known. They might have limited capacity from an advising standpoint. So just trying to figure out, who's going to support you in the journey. And people don't tell you it's the hidden curriculum, like Dr. Harris, mentioned. So how to navigate that. And then uneven access to opportunities. You might see folks presenting at certain conferences, and it's like, how did you get the funding for that? So in a way, we would like to demystify the whole doctoral process. And just share resources with one another. Because we strive on the motto of Ubuntu, I am because we are, and that's one of the things that we do, is just really pour into each other and share resources. We have resource sheets, we have lists, people add to it, we share it out because we believe everybody should have access, and we don't want to gatekeep, and we want to practice in action the change that we want to see. So in terms of like some of our theoretical grounding, it's really rooted within Black placemaking and Black joy. So we're focused on relationships and connections, and like counteracting exclusion. So focused on care, community, and liberation. Folks coming into this space, we've had powerful sessions. We meet every Tuesday and Thursday. We've been doing it for since January of 2024, and we just continue to show up because we really care. And then we're also focused on Black joy. So just fullness of Black life, and rids of deficit models and centralized celebration and cultural affirmation. One of the things that I always affirm the scholars who enter the space is that, the fact that you're just showing up means a lot. The fact that you took time to just write a little bit means a lot. Because sometimes this doctoral program can leave you in a state of paralysis, and you don't know where you're going to go. You don't know how to move, and it can just be tough. So just being in a space where other folks like, yo, I get you. Like, I'm going through it too right now. I think it really just kind of takes a load off and takes some of the stress off of people's shoulders. And then also the in-person connections that people have. And then also just freedom from white-centered norms. In our space, we center us. Like I said, we're in a space where we're accepted and not just tolerated. So that's something that a huge component of the organization. So data and impact. So we've had over 2,800 doctoral students complete the interest form. We have 425 group members. We have a lot of conversations within that. Even in terms of just like sharing flyers, and folks asking like, how do I go about getting my IRB? So really just having that support outside of the institution in a way. 200 plus institutions have been reached. We've had 4 in-person meetups thus far. We'll have 5 next week here with AERA in Los Angeles. We've had 52 folks defend their dissertations who've acknowledged us in their dissertations, of just saying the impact that we've had, which for me means a lot, just seeing that piece, because those are 52 other scholars, majority Black doctoral scholars who earn their doctorate. And for me, like I said, as somebody who's, you know, getting towards the end, that's inspiring to see. Just folks out here just, you know, getting done, and also being a role model for their family and for their community. So for me, that's I think that's my greatest sense of pride, is just knowing that the results are showing and people are getting done, and people are sharing the impact, which means the world to me. And speaking of impact, like I said, it's been 2 years, 2 years of impact, starting in January of 2024. So this is state representation. So as you can see, we've reached 47 of the states. We got to go to Alaska, New Mexico, and Idaho. So if y'all know some people there, you know what I'm saying, let me know. We can make that happen, so we can get in those places as well. But we've had some national impact. We've also had the fortune of having an international representation from Canada, folks from Sweden, Ghana, Peru, British Virgin Islands, England, and a few other locations as well. So just having that visual representation to show that, hey, this is a global organization at this point. Bahamas, Bangladesh, India, Uganda, Nigeria, the Zambia, South Africa. So, you know, it's just amazing to see folks reach out from all over the world and join us. There might be some people who was like, it was 2 a.m. over here, but I just need to be in a space, man. I need to feel the energy. I just need to see what y'all are doing and what y'all are about. And we like, welcome in, you know, come as you can. We like the church, come as you can, come as you are. And we're going to accept you for what you are and who you are, and what you bring. And we're going to support you throughout the whole journey. So that's some of the representation. And then these are some of the institutions that have been represented. You can see institutions from large R1s to online to smaller universities to Ivies and other places like that. So it's really, you know, these are just a couple of the institutions, but we've really been able to touch folks all across the country. And like I said, at this point, all across the world, which has been a supreme blessing. And then these are just a couple quotes that I have. I'm not going to read them all, but one of the ones that I am going to read is, I really appreciate being a part of this group because it creates a strong sense of belonging. It feels like we're all on this journey together, and there's a shared purpose that keeps us motivated. It's also a supportive space where we can simply focus and get work done, which makes a big difference. For me, just hearing just feedback like that lets us know that we're on the right track, Dr. Askew and I. And it serves as fuel in us to keep us going, and letting us know that we're in the right direction. So, and with that being said, this is, you know, some of our photos. We take group photos at the end of our every session just to capture the moment, because it's powerful. And at this point, we've taken hundreds and hundreds of photos. So we got, you know, some yearbooks and stuff coming out for folks who've graduated. This has become our cohort in a way, and it's been a blessing. It's been awesome to see. So yeah, if folks are interested, you can, and I'll drop our information in the chat, but you can connect with us on LinkedIn at the Doctoral Student Writing Collective. And on Instagram, it's Doctoral Student Writing Collective, DSWC Collective. So I'll drop all that information, but I appreciate you, Dr. Felder-Small, for having me on, and looking forward to our next wonderful presenter.
Soon to be Dr. Tim Herd, thank you very, very much for showing those photos. I mean, it shows us the critical nature of the virtual village, that representation, right? So we appreciate you. We are going to move now to hear from Dr. John C. Turner and the Doc Chat. Dr. Turner.
All right. You hear me all right? And see my screen. If I see your screen, excellent. To God be the glory. Thank you, Dr. Pam. We thank everybody from United Nations, this amazing permanent forum on people of African descent. And as you see, folks, we had the great soon-to-be Dr. Nathaniel Smith. We had the great soon-to-be Dr. Tim Herd, Dr. Jamelia Harris, and now we have myself, Dr. John C. Turner, and I am the voice and the founder of the Doc Chat. And why the Doc Chat is important is because we share the voice of doctors all over the world. I'm going to tell you a little bit about it here in this brief. So a little bit about me. I got my PhD from Indiana University School of Indianapolis, and today actually is my conferment day. of March 31st. And it's such a blessing to be able to have this doctorate degree. But the thing when it comes to getting a doctorate degree is, what is your why? What is your next? And so that's why the Doc Chat was founded, to give a space for doctors to be able to share who they are and what they want to do as they go to the next level. And as we do that, we're able to share the great works that we're doing all over the world and making sure that the voice of doctors are heard, as sometimes they can get set back when the trauma of getting doctorate degrees and all the effects of what you went through. And some people hit that point and they just drop off. We don't want that. And that's why the importance of the Doc Chat is here. And that's why we're so excited to be able to share voices of doctors from everywhere. And it gives people the space and place to be exactly who they are once they finish their degree, to be some of the greatest doctors in the world. And so what's big for me is the brand. The branding is very important to me. And so as I have my brand, I always like people to know that I'm not just telling doctors what to do, I'm doing it myself. And so I always tell doctors, once you get done, have your niche. And so my niche is definitely first year experience. It's also working with individuals who are post-secondary educational individuals, students that are going from high school on over. That crossover, that's that gap sometimes that's missing, whether it's funding, whether it's just the knowledge of what to do when you go to school. That is something that I do in my work. And also that doctoral student and then that doctor career preparation as they go to the next level. That is part of my niche. And how this niche started was with the Doc Chat show. And the Doc Chat show you can check out every Thursdays in the spring. We have it in the spring because we know in the fall, y'all watching football, y'all not going to watch us. 8 p.m. on Thursday night, we are there, LinkedIn, YouTube, and now on TikTok. And then also we have branding for doctors. It's part of the brand where we help doctors reach their goals, whether if you want to be a speaker, whether if you want to write books, write articles, whatever you want to do, we help doctors be able to shape who they are so that they can be able to take their doctorate degree to the next. Here we go. All right. So something that's very, very important that I want everybody to know is who we are as Black doctors. Now, let's take it by percentage. If there are 2% of individuals in the world who are doctors, that means about 166 million people are doctors around the world. And we have to realize that 60% of the world lives in Asia. Okay. So what about doctors in the United States? Well, if we take 2% of that, we have to realize just right under 7 million individuals are doctors. Now let's go to even further. What about us as Black doctors? So if we take about, say, about 30 to 35% of individuals who get doctorate degrees are Black, that means only about 2 million individuals in the entire United States are doctors. What does that mean? Well, how big is that? That's big because you could fit every Black doctor in the city of Houston. That means all over the world and all over the United States, we are minuscule, but we are mighty. And I don't want anybody to ever forget that. When you are a Black doctor, you let people know you're a Black doctor. You share that you earned your doctorate degree. You share the work that you put in and you do what's next. You pull somebody else up with you. And that's what we do with the Doc Chat. We make sure individuals know the power of who they are and what they do. All right, so let's go into the show, the Doc Chat show, which started it all. The Doc Chat show, 5 seasons we've been in, nearly 100 episodes. We featured over 200 plus Black doctor scholars for the doctoral students and also doctors. Over 100,000 views and counting on all social media platforms. And you could see from our particular marketing we have here, we have us a ball. We talk about the important issue. We talk about the things people want to know. From, are there scam honorary doctorates that are out there? We tackled that issue. We had my good brother, Dr. Nathaniel Smith, on just a couple of weeks ago, who talked about Black History Month and Dissertating While Black. We talked about branding. We had our amazing Women's Her Story Month episode on last week. And this upcoming Thursday, don't you miss it. We're bringing Black doctor families together on our Doctor Family Affair episode. We also have some amazing episodes coming up in April where we're going to talk about things like relationships, AI, and should you go and be a doctor? We're going to hit those issues hard, and we're going to have a phenomenal finish to our fifth. As we go further, we look at the LinkedIn network. That's where we started. We have 3 groups of 50 doctors each, and we're growing more and more every single year. And so in those groups, we share job and postdoc opportunities, public speaking and conference speaking opportunities. We shoot questions and answers off of each other. We also share dissertation survey studies. So if we see a doctoral candidate and they need help being able to get people to participate in their studies, we share them in this group. We also do celebration of accomplishments. And one of our biggest ones is always in the spring and always going into the holiday season. We highlight the doctors who are just getting done, highlight over 100 Black doctors who have got done. So once they post on LinkedIn, we get those posts and we share with the world. And we let everybody know that these are doctors. Also, we've also provided scholarship opportunities for doctoral students as well. And so we put money in their pocket, whether if it's going to a conference, whether it's helping them get books. We wanted to make sure those doctoral students know that they were supported. And so that doctoral network on LinkedIn is growing, it's vast, and people see the work that we're doing. And with our posts that we put up all the time, we let people know that we are seen and we love to be heard. So now let's get to the Doc Chat event. We have had some phenomenal opportunities to connect with doctors all over the country. We've had the amazing Doc Chat dinners from Philadelphia at AERA, to Washington, D.C. at AABHE, to Atlanta, my hometown, Indianapolis. And one of our biggest events was our Juneteenth celebration in Washington, D.C. during Juneteenth, which I am proud to announce right here on this conversation. We are going to do it for the second time this upcoming Juneteenth. So if you need to be in Washington, D.C., baby, because we're going to be walking into a spot with TAMs on and letting folks know that the doctors are out there. So these Doc Chat events have been a hit. People love connecting with one another. People have really connected and been able to do great things together. And it has been some powerful, powerful connecting through those events, which we are excited to share all the time. Right. And so another part is our global reach and features. And we appreciate Dr. Pam. We had an opportunity to write in the EdUp experience just about a year ago, but we're also doing consulting and counseling. We're all over social media, different websites, videos, podcasts, our branding and marketing, and we're at conferences, professional developments, and community engagement events and partnerships. And so we make sure we reach out where the people are and let doctors know you're not alone. You are supported. You have people that are here for you and care for you, whether you're in your doctoral program or you're done. You have a network, and we want you to be able to tap into that network. And as always, make sure you get you a copy of the Dr. Talker book. It's a book about 6 Black doctors who talk about their life journey and also talk about their journey through their doctoral program. It's rich, it's powerful, and we want people to know these stories are real. Get ready. The Dr. Talker 2 is going to be coming soon, and I'm going to be looking for doctors who are going to be ready to share their stories. And these are great opportunities for you to get your name out there as a doctor in a huge, huge way. All right, one more here. So the big thing I want to let people know is where you can find me. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on YouTube. And now you can find me on TikTok as well. YouTube, TikTok under the Professor JT. And finally, I want to say thank you, Jesus, for this opportunity. Speaking for the United Nations, speaking for this amazing forum. I'm just a kid from Indianapolis, Indiana, born and raised, 2.2 high school GPA. My mother passed away when I was 13 years old. My father was on drugs. Nobody gave me a chance, but God gave me a chance to go get a doctorate degree, and you can do it too. Thank you, everybody. God bless you. Keep up the amazing work, everybody, and I appreciate the love so much.
Dr. JT, Professor JT, thank you very much for your wonderful presentation. I am just so filled with joy and appreciation for the presentations here this evening. I was texting Dr. Jamelia and sharing with her that this is really a dream realized, to have these four leaders in this space tonight. Last year, we participated in the PFPAD fourth session, and soon-to-be Dr. Nathaniel Smith joined us for that session as well. That video is available on YouTube, and we will be sharing this video as well. But a couple of things I want to say before we transition into the Q&A and then talk a little bit about our action planning. Black Doctorates Matter started about 11 years ago, and working with doctoral students who felt like they needed support and did not sort of have this, they didn't have the psychosocial support that they needed to be able to have conversations about what they were thinking about and what they were feeling and how they were experiencing the doctoral process. And I wanted to create an initiative where I focused on organizations that are doing work that support the psychosocial experiences of doctoral students. I've written about it, I've presented about it, and now this Black Doctorates Matter initiative is expanding to a global stage. And the next goal is to really elevate the need to focus on human rights. What really stood out to me in sort of transitioning my work into the human rights arena is that I was doing the human rights work, but I wasn't calling it that, right? And as you can see, each of the presenters are doing phenomenal work that elevates our right to education, elevates our right to culture, but we're not necessarily framing it within the context of human rights. And so my call to action here tonight is for us to think a little bit more about the role of human rights in our work and to be a little more explicit about ways that we can make connections between our scholarship and our practice, things that we're reading about and writing about. How can we elevate our work to make stronger connections to human rights principles? The other thing I would add is that the work that we're seeing here tonight we're really just scraping the surface. There are so many organizations, virtual organizations now. I've written about this for the permanent forum. You can Google virtual doctoral student communities in Black Doctorates Matter, and you'll see that representation out there. But the goal of Black Doctorates Matter is to do some storytelling about the initiatives and the organizations that are out there and the very special nuances that each of these initiatives and organizations bring. And as you can see, there are differences, right, across these initiatives in terms of the strengths that they're bringing to academia and to the cultural and social settings that Black doctoral students and Black scholars find themselves in. So whether it's from the work of the Doctoral Student Writing Collective that is very explicit about helping scholars to identify with their work and with their writing, to being out in being at the conferences, right? And meeting with individuals in the conference setting and being a source of support at those conferences. It's critical, it's crucial that we have support at those conferences, and so that there are spaces where we can talk and really be ourselves and connect with individuals. So I applaud the work that everyone is doing here tonight, and I want to give a huge shout out to those folks who are here who are doing that work, because it doesn't stop with these initiatives, right? There are faculty members and individuals who are advocating for us behind the scenes. So huge shout out to those individuals as well. So I want to shift to the Q&A portion, and we're going to invite you into the conversation. We want to hear any questions and thoughts that you may have about the presentations. And then we're going to shift to the action planning segment. One of the things we want to do is provide some recommendations for the United Nations Secretariat. We have recommendations out there on the web from the PFPAD5 session, and we will pull together our recommendations from this session as well and make sure that the Secretariat has that information. So the floor is open to our participants. If you have any questions for our presenters today, if you have any reflections that you would like to share in terms of your experience as a scholar, working with other scholars, please let us know. And I think the first hand is Michael Black.
Hi, y'all. Thank you so much for all these presentations here. I'm coming from Manhattan, so hope everybody's doing well. I had a question about the writing collective with Tim, and I was curious about, in your sessions, whether it's like digital or if you have those meet up in person moments, if that were to occur, do you ever have like a sharing of books of any kind, sort of like a red box or something like that, where people can offer up books to whether it's helpful to their studies or whether it's also helpful to just their awareness of Black culture or Black experiences or the history of. I'm curious as to whether like is there any type of space like that for the collective space? Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. We have a few resource sheets that I share. So one of them has like a list of different conferences. Some has like a list of like different books. I know Dr. Felder-Small mentioned Dr. Greg Carr, and I know he has narrative with Karen Hunter. So we share that information as well. So we have kind of like a almost basically like a virtual library of different links and stuff that touches on some of that stuff as well, so that folks can be supported. But that's a great question.
Thank you. I think the next question is from Devonte Lawson. Devonte?
Hi. So my question is also for the writing collective. I'm getting my doctorate in cybersecurity with a focus in space systems organizations. And I was kind of just curious, during these meetups, I suppose that like I'm going through the comments and everything, I'm not seeing other people in my field. So would the writings be more so like the process of writing a dissertation, as opposed to like the fact checking aspect of it?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, and yeah, I got your message too. I hope that link was helpful, but yeah, so you're right. A lot of the folks who are in the space are like social sciences. And one of the things that we've been trying to do is reach out to folks who might be in a lab. But it also still is a space where you come and you can write. Like folks are working on different projects. Some folks might be working on their dissertation or they might be in coursework. But the whole really idea or mission is to have a collective space where folks are working on different projects. And then another piece, which I didn't mention, is we have faculty members or folks who've already earned their PhD. We have them come in twice a month and share their experiences and offer feedback. So it's really more so a supportive space in that regard, and not necessarily like, oh, we're going to specifically talk on X, Y, Z. It's more so just like you come as is, you work on something, and if you have questions, you can pitch it or ask it to the group. And usually there's somebody in there who, if they don't know, they know somebody else, and they can get you connected. So
Awesome. And a quick little follow up to that is I will be just maybe an hour, maybe 2 hours north of LA for the whole month of May. So if there's any, I'll reach out to you the same way I reached out before. But if there's any, in-person meetups or anything during the month of May, I would love to participate in any of those.
absolutely, absolutely. No, I appreciate that.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Devonte. I believe the next question is Dr. Weatherspoon.
Hi, I want to just say, like, everybody did a phenomenal job, and the information that you share is so valuable. My work is in medical education, and so a lot of the students want to speak directly to Dr. Harris. A lot of women I encounter, I do a lot of professional coaching and supporting students across the country and in our state of in our city of Minneapolis. I was wondering, do you have programs to teach folks how to take tests? And so that's been a huge theme in my coaching profession and in my program that I um, put together is not having enough resources to inspire Black physicians, future Black physicians, to become more competent in test taking. Um, so if anybody out there have any resources that for that is that's huge for in my field of work.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for the question. And similar to what Tim shared, the majority of our scholars are also in the social sciences. And so we aren't typically oriented to test taking in the medical field. But if there are resources that you might lift up that we can share with our sister scholars, I would love to be able to bring that to our community. We don't currently have any MDs in our community, and so that hasn't necessarily been a need. The foundation of the work that we do is really helping Black women make that transition from student to scholar. And so a lot of our work is really centered around how do we shift the mindset of being a doctoral student to really recognizing the position that we hold as scholars in this work. And so a lot of the coaching that we do really supports Black women in navigating that transition in their journey.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for the
Thank
question.
you.
Thank you very much for that question. Denise Margaret Thompson.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I serve with InterVarsity Christian Fellowship as a former engineering professor, former female engineering professor, who's worked in academia for over 30 years and now serve looking at helping our graduate students and faculty integrate their faith with their academic discipline. How we describe it is we ask and help both our students and our faculty. How can you communicate your faith using the language of your discipline to those in your discipline? And having attended the third forum 2 years ago and looking forward to attending this fifth forum in a couple of weeks, my question was whether Black Doctors Matter will be working on a statement specifically looking at doctoral work as a human right for people of African descent, in the same way as we've accepted K through 12 education as a human right. But for our communities, I think we need to include encouraging and supporting students through the doctoral process, through the academic process. And what we emphasize in InterVarsity as well is the different types of scholarship, that it's not just your research work considered a scholarship, but following the Boyer model of the application work, teaching as scholarship, research as scholarship, application and innovation as scholarship as well, and helping us to own our scholarship. So will Black Doctors Matter be doing a specific recommendation around the issue of doctoral work, PhD work as a human right for those of us from African descent?
Thank you very much for that question. Yes, we will submit a statement and our recommendations based on this meeting, and we will continue to ask for input. We've reached out to some seasoned scholars and some scholars that work specifically in human rights to get some additional guidance with what that statement could look like. But we definitely want to be represented in terms of our recommendations to the Secretariat. So we will definitely take heed to your suggestion in terms of elevating the language of the PhD, the doctoral process itself being a human right.
And particularly in the area of STEM, if we are left behind in the areas of people of African descent doing research work and sharing that information across the populations that we deal with, we will be forever left behind. So particularly STEM doctoral work as a human right for those of us of African descent.
Yes, thank you very much.
Could I jump in? I know I'm out of line, but that's kind of one of the pieces that we work on with professional identity development in a lot of my research. So if there's an opportunity for me to kind of step in and kind of offer some feedback, because we talk about becoming a doctorate and what that means. I think one of the shortcomings that we have is as we go through the process, we can lose our identity in that process. And so being able to kind of come together, if it's opportunity for me to kind of collaborate or talk to anyone about that piece. And I think that's a huge piece of going through the process, because you could lose your identity of who you are and what you're trying to be in being that doctorate. Sorry, I jumped in right away, but I was like, oh, I got to get this.
We appreciate you, Dr. Weatherspoon, but I'm going to go in this order because I definitely want to be mindful of our time protocols. Michael Miller, Noor Abdullah, KD, and then Kelly Holly. So I'm going to start with Dr. Miller.
Hey, Dr. Pam Felder-Small, great to see you again. It was wonderful at TRQ last week. I listened to your talk on, was it trustworthiness in the research on Black doctor? That was pretty great talk. But my question today is for Dr. John Turner. Thank you for your presentation, as well as thank everyone else who presented. It was really nice. And in my research, pretty much focused on marginalized groups. And so one of the things that I'm going to be, talking about in the next couple of weeks is talking about algorithmic bias. Is AI racist? And I want to talk to John Turner about, because I know he said he's got an upcoming thing with regards to AI. And I'm looking at it from a qualitative standpoint, from a Black male perspective, in terms of, is Black people being discriminated because of AI? So I'd love to get his take on that.
Yes, and shout out to everybody from TikTok and LinkedIn that's on today. We appreciate that. And yes, Dr. Miller, we are going to have that episode. I believe it's on the 20, let me make sure I get that right. On the 16th of April. If that is your research area, here's what's funny. I just had the other doctor who's coming on with me say, we need to find another doctor to come on and talk with us about this. So if you would like to join us, and if any of the doctors here ever have something they want to talk about, you're a doctor, you want to come talk on the doc chat, holla at me. We love having doctors on the show. So that is a huge thing right now, whether it is individuals like us that place things online and we know they're getting buried, as far as you could tell that the views aren't there. You could tell the likes aren't there. I myself have been through it many times, 40,000 followers on LinkedIn, but I'll have a post, it might get 10 likes and 50 views. How is that? Because they know what I'm talking about. They know I'm Black and they know what I'm coming to talk about. And so when they know what I'm coming to talk about, sometimes you're already slated. And so it's very important the research you're talking about, and we could talk about it more offline, to make sure that we're making people aware of what they're putting and also when you're posting. I tell people this, if you post on LinkedIn between the times of 9 a.m. and 12 p.m. on Tuesday morning, you're going to get more reactions and more views than any other time during the week. And so I want people to know about those things, but know they are bearing our work, and we have to stop it. And we have to be able to do the work that we can to see where it's getting buried, how it's getting buried, and put it into it for sure, because our voices need to be heard. Great question.
Thank you, Dr. Miller. Noor Abdullah.
Greetings, everyone. I think my question is more of like healing and emotional resilience. I started my third year as a doctoral student. with Acacia University. And this is where I first heard of your name, Dr. Pamela. And honestly, I was excited to see someone who looks like me. That was like something that one of the things that made me continue on with that particular program, because up until now, I haven't seen anyone who looked like me or who could understand my background, my community, or anything. So one of the questions that I had was, how do you heal from like moments of exclusion or microaggression, like during these programs? And the other one was like, how do you learn to believe that, you know, you belong in rooms that were never designed with you in mind? So like I said, I think mine came from, you know, my questions are more, you know, from healing and just that emotional resilience. Like I try daily to keep praying to like continue. I've taken breaks, I started back. I've taken breaks, I started back. And when I found these particular communities on LinkedIn, it just like gave me the tools more so that I needed to just like keep going. I will be the first doctor in my entire generation. So that is like so important to me.
Well, thank you very much for that, for those powerful questions. In many ways, those questions are sort of the thread of why we're here tonight, right? Very, very important. And I know for myself, creating Black Doctorates Matter was because I wanted to see myself being represented, and I wanted to share that representation with other individuals. And it's funny because when I'm in certain spaces like this, right, we know that Black doctorates matter, right? There's no question, right? When we think about our experience and talk about our experience. But as a higher education scholar, one of the reasons why I wanted to really use Black Doctorates Matter as a platform is because we haven't mattered, particularly in the data. I'll give you an example. The National Science Foundation and the National Research Council have reports out basically saying that racial and ethnic data were not collected by these organizations until 1975. So the first doctoral degree was conferred in 1876. So there's about 100 years that have existed where these large research organizations were not collecting any data, or at least large scale data on Black experiences. So, you know, it's really important to say that Black doctorates matter, to remind individuals that we didn't. Right? We didn't matter in the data. We weren't even thought about in the data. So for me, that affirmation of saying it is really important, and it's a healing experience for me. To be able to do that in community with other individuals. It's funny because, you know, when I you know, go around someone like a Dr. Greg Carr, for example, I mean, it's obvious. We know that Black doctors matter in his work. There's no question about it. But then when we, you know, are in various spaces, it's very clear to us that we don't matter. So we have to figure out, you know, where we matter, where we don't, and where we don't matter, make sure that we find strategies to make sure that we're present, make sure that we're connecting with individuals, that we're networking, and that we're sharing and storytelling about our experiences. For me, that's been very healing. But I defer to the other panelists to also share perspectives.
Thank you.
Anyone else like to answer that question, those questions?
Thank you, Dr. Pam. I mean, what I will offer is that spaces such as Dissertating While Black does offer a community of healing and encouragement for particularly Black males who are pursuing a doctorate. So, for example, last year during our first virtual event during Black History Month, a brother hopped on to the Zoom and said that he literally just got out of a meeting with his committee and he was determined to drop out of his program. And he remembered that we were having the Dissertating While Black event. He saw the post on LinkedIn, on social media, and the moment he put that in the chat, he was flooded with just love, support, encouragement, and the brother was in tears. So, communities such as Dissertating While Black, Doctoral Student Writing Collective, Write Your Dissertation Sis, the Doc Chat really offer environments where we feel seen, heard, we belong, we matter,
Supported, encouraged.
and I think that that's important.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm going to ask the other panelists to maybe chime in on the chat. We're at 8:15 already, and I want to make sure that we meet our time protocols. KD and Kelly, very quickly, if you could share your questions, and then we want to move into the action planning segment.
Yes, thank you. My name's KD. I'm glad to be here. John Turner found me on LinkedIn, so on TikTok. So I have a bigger question, but I can ask it later. I just wanted to provide this conversation. I am a chair, two-time chair now, and I will tell you right now, and just for everybody, we are here to try to fail you. I will tell you, I'm gonna be honest with you. But it's not just for anybody. It's because it's the gatekeepers. We are gatekeepers in this conversation. And the reason why people feel so much struggle with it, because a lot of R1 institutions, we have to put our name on your dissertation. And that is our legacy. And so when you feel that they're trying to gatekeep you or trying to be cryptic about the discussion, is because they are putting their body of work on your work. And so that's why it seems like it's kind of like you're isolated. But I would tell you also, you do matter. You are going to be in this, you're in this fight because everybody was in this fight at one time and another. And they get to the point saying that you're struggling, they all struggled. I'm a double doctorate. And I tell you, I struggled when I went my first PhD to my EDD, writing 2 dissertations. I struggled because it's that isolation, but I want to say you are worthy. Everybody here is worthy of being in that room. You do not need affirmation for nobody except yourself, because you're smart to be in this room. So I want to tell you, keep the fight. Everybody trying to be a gatekeeper, so don't think it's always personal, but keep in the good fight. And I'm glad this community is here for you, because it wasn't when I went out years ago, before they had Google, they didn't have this community, all this stuff. So I'm an old head, but I love it for you to see y'all growing. I love to see my people. I love to see y'all doing things. Just understand that it's set up for everybody to try to fail, but we're here for you. And I'm here for the conversation for anybody. Just want to let that know. And I will defer because I want to respect those times. Just let you know I'm here for everybody if they need any conversations about where they need to go in their career and doctoral journey. So, yeah.
Thank you, Katie.
I just had a small question, and then I had an ask. I'm a third-year PhD student at Arizona State in the School of Social Work. My research interests center around autistic Black encounters with law enforcement. So my ask is if anybody has any connections to Black fathers in particular, I want to be able to uplift the perspective of Black dads who are having the talk with their children that have a disability. I also want to be able to connect with caregivers who are caring for the most severely affected children, because they are not featured in academic literature. But I also just wanted to ask the question, and I apologize, I missed like the first 20 minutes of the presentation because hashtag I'm parenting. I'm a parent. I have 2 autistic children. My son is severely autistic and nonverbal. I am neurodiverse. And so I'm just wondering if these spaces that you all are creating are places where people who have neurodiversity, who have ADHD, where they can function and thrive, because I am really struggling with community and not having community and not having a lot of understanding. I'm first gen, and I've had 5 family members die in the last 15 months. My dad passed 7 weeks ago. So I'm just looking for like encouragement to keep going because this is really hard. And I'm going to put my email address in the chat in case anybody wants to connect with me.
Yes, Kelly, we will definitely be reaching out to you, and this is for you and for anyone. If you ever need any support with your research, you can send that information to blackdoctoratesmatter@gmail.com. You can also inbox us on LinkedIn. We'll make sure that we promote your work. We're constantly promoting and sharing on LinkedIn. So, we will make sure that your information gets out there. And in terms of some of the nuances you mentioned, Kelly, we'll make sure that we connect you to the right network.
Hi,
All right.
hi, I'm sorry for interrupting, but I just put something in the chat for the young lady that was just speaking. Autism in the Black is a wonderful organization for neurodiverse peoples, parents, children, started by a licensed mental health professional who is also parent of 2 young people with autism, as well as she's neurodiverse also. So it's called Autism in Black. I'm sorry for interrupting, but I feel your pain.
No
I'm
worries.
also a parent of a child with an intellectual disability, but that's a good organization to get support.
Thank you very much for sharing that resource. Shamika, I see your hand, and if you could post your question in the chat, we will respond to your question. Any questions in the chat, we will be following up with an email. We're also recording this, so we'll make sure that you all get the video after we do our editing and so forth. So what we want to do now is transition into the action planning segment. We have 4 newly minted scholars this year for the centennial celebration of Black History Month. Black Doctorates Matter implemented a newly minted scholar series. So we're working with about 50 newly minted scholars. 4 of them have joined us. Actually, more than 4 have joined us, but 4 are going to give brief statements about how their work connects to human rights. So we're going to start with Dr. Courtney Nicole Johnson, who's going to talk about her work first. Dr. Johnson.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you for the opportunity. And just for encouragement to whoever is a believer, Jeremiah 29:11, that's what propelled me through my accelerated 2-year program at Clark Atlanta University. But my statement, just to say good evening, good afternoon, or good morning, wherever you may be. My name is Dr. Courtney Nicole Johnson. I left my camera off because I need my internet to stay with us. My research examines the lived experiences of African American students at a predominantly white institution with a focus on student engagement, sense of belonging. While existing scholarship has affirmed that inclusive environments are essential to student success, my research addresses critical and emerging gap in the field, one that has not yet been fully named or theorized. I define this gap as the post-DEI Halloween phenomenon. This phenomenon captures a growing pattern in higher education where institutions continue to use the language of diversity, equity, and inclusion while simultaneously reducing or removing the very structures, cultural centers, support programs, and identity affirming spaces that make equity tangible for students. What we are witnessing is not always the removal of access, but the erosion of meaningful access. This distinction is essential when we consider the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, particular Articles 26 and 27. Article 26 affirms education as a fundamental human right, one that must support the full development of the human personality. When students lose access to culturally relevant support systems that foster belonging, identity, development, and engagement, their ability to fully develop, not just academically, but as a whole individuals, is compromised. Access without support is not equity. Article 27 affirms the right of every individual is to freely participate in the cultural and intellectual life of their community and to share in its advancement. My research reveals that when DEI infrastructures are hollowed out, students may remain physically present, but are systematically distanced from full participation. They are there, but not fully seen, not fully supported, and not fully able to engage in the cultural and intellectual life of their institutions. By naming the post-DEI Halloween phenomenon, my work contributes to the field by making visible what has often been felt but not articulated. It provides a framework for understanding how institutional shifts, often subtle and gradual, can profoundly impact students' sense of belonging, engagement, and their right to fully participate in educational spaces. If education is a human right, then belonging must be treated as essential, not optional. Because what is at stake is not simply programming or policy, it is whether students are able to fully develop, fully participate, and fully become within the very institutions designed to educate them. And if institutions leave the structure standing, but remove what made it a place of belonging, then we must ask, who is education truly for? Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Johnson. Dr. Hagan-Nelson, you're up next.
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to be in community with you today. I'm Dr. Melissa Hagan-Nelson, and I want you to picture this. A community member walks up to a podium at a school board meeting. They have 2 minutes. 2 minutes to speak about their child's education, 2 minutes to raise concerns, 2 minutes to ask people in power to listen. However, the presence of a microphone does not guarantee that all voices are equally heard, valued, or reflected in the decisions being made. So when people step up to that podium, they are not just speaking, they are responding to decisions already shaping their daily lives. My research, Equity Through Participatory Governance, Community Involvement in Educational Governance, and Policy Reform, examines who gets to speak in these spaces, what they are saying, and how decision makers respond. Using a mixed methods approach, my study analyzes public comments from Jefferson County Board of Education meetings during the 2024-2025 school year. I looked at who participated, the issues raised, and patterns of board engagement. What I found is this: participation is not equitable. Advocacy is often reactive rather than collective, and engagement from decision makers is inconsistent. So while the formal structures that allows for public voice exist, it does not consistently ensure that voice shapes decisions. That distinction matters. This work contributes to social work practice and human rights implementation by demonstrating that access alone is not enough. If participation is only procedural, or as Arnstein calls tokenistic, it can still reproduce inequity if their voices are not heard or valued or acted upon. I ground this work in Ubuntu, the idea that I am because we are. And from this perspective, governance is not just about policies. It is about relationships, shared responsibility, and collective well-being. This connects directly to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, especially Article 26 that affirms the right to education as a process that supports the full development of human dignity and personality. That right is not fully realized when communities are excluded from shaping the systems that serve them, as well as Article 27 that affirms the right to participate in the cultural life of the community. Yet, when participation is shaped by access and familiarity and resources, and when contributions are not acknowledged or integrated, participation becomes conditional rather than universal. So if we are serious about human rights, we must move beyond procedural access and shift to participation that is equitable, responsive, and accountable. This requires removing barriers, creating mechanisms for sustained and representative of community input, and establishing clear expectations for how governing bodies respond to and incorporate public contribution. Because when someone steps up to that podium and is given those 2 minutes, the question is not whether they are allowed to speak. The question is whether what they said had the power to shape what happens next. Thank you.
Dr. Melissa.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very, very much. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Dr. Crystal Smith Morgan.
Greetings, greetings, good evening. I'm centered on talking about Black American couples. So we can't talk about community without talking about Black American couples. So my work specifically focuses on multi-systemic racialized experiences of Black couples, specifically how systems we encounter through our lives shape the way we show up in our intimate relationships. To anchor this in human rights framework, I draw from Articles 26 and 27. Article 26 affirms the right to equitable, culturally responsive education that nurtures human development. So when we think about development across the lifespan, education is so much more than just academics. It's where we learn how to first communicate, how we read emotional cues, how we learn about safety and what's not safe, but also how we begin forming ideas about closeness, trust, and even future parenting. But for many Black Americans, educational experiences have been shaped by inequitable access, racialized school climates, and environments that just don't reflect our cultural realities. Those early experiences do not fade when childhood ends. They follow people until their adult life, and they shape how we navigate intimacy in our family life. So my research examines how these inequities can shape relational patterns that unfold later in life. And as I share this, I'm reminded of how often partners realize for the very first time that these early experiences have been shaping their relationship for years. Article 27 affirms the right to participate in cultural life and share in scientific advancement. Yet, most of the research on mental health training doesn't rely or include cultural knowledge, tradition, or even lived narratives of Black people. This creates real gaps in how mental health professionals are trained and prepared, and the questions that researchers ask, and gaps in the type of care Black couples receive. Far too often, these models don't reflect our strengths, don't reflect our creativity, and they don't center Black relational life. My work seeks to address these gaps by centering Black couples' lived experiences as meaningful sources of scientific knowledge, pushing back against deficit-based narratives and expanding what we consider as rigorous scholarship. And it supports the development of relational care that centers cultural identity, shared meaning making, and the resilience that Black couples have always carried. So when we bring Articles 26 and 27 together, we can see a fuller picture. Education and culture are not separate from relational well-being. They are the foundation to it. And when these rights are compromised, the effects show up not only in our individual development, but also in how Black couples connect, how we communicate, how we parent, and how we live in community. So my hope is that this work broadens conversations by showing why culturally responsive education and research are essential for supporting development across the lifespan in Black Americans, but also Black American couples. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Smith Morgan. And last but not least, we have Dr. Daveon Swan.
I want to express gratitude to Dr. Felder-Small and to God, so thank you. As we think about equity and inclusion and human rights in education, I want to evoke 3 words as a rally cry. I am a man. Those 3 words proclaimed by Black men fighting for equity in Memphis demanded recognition, dignity, and respect. Today, I want to focus on a part of the educational pipeline that is too often overlooked, the experiences of Black male students. My research called Black Boy Joy examines their lived experiences and challenges the idea that racism is isolated. Rather, it positions it as systemic within the U.S. education system. At its core, this work frames educational inequity as a human rights issue. It aligns with Articles 26 and 27 of the UDHR, affirming education as essential to full development and participation in cultural and intellectual life. Yet for many Black male students, these rights remain inaccessible. At its core, this work frames educational inequity not only as a systemic issue, but as a human rights concern, demanding global attention and accountability. It aligns with Articles 26 and 27 of the UDHR, which affirm that education is essential to full human development and participation in cultural and intellectual life. I conducted a qualitative case study in an alternative school revealing the disconnect between human rights ideals and educational reality. Students wanted to be seen as whole individuals, and they testified that connection drives motivation. Educators, despite their well-intentioned commitment, face structural barriers and limited preparation. The absence of belonging, affirmation, and culturally responsive practice undermines the realization of Articles 26 and 27. So I examined the phenomenon through a combined lens of critical race theory, social emotional learning, and equity theory. The findings informed the development of Swan's Crown Framework, a conceptual model that builds on social emotional learning, culturally responsive pedagogy, and trauma-informed practice to center the experiences and strengths of Black male students. Its 5 tiers: care and stability, restoration and safety and trust, opportunities for connection, worth and empowerment, and next level clarity offer a practical roadmap for educators to foster environments where Black male students not only survive but thrive. In this way, the framework realizes Articles 26 and 27 by embedding equity, belonging, and cultural affirmation into daily educational practice. More explicitly, the Crown Framework serves as a programmatic human rights intervention, translating the principles of the UDHR into actionable, sustainable educational practice. Now, this is where it gets interesting. The full development of the human personality strengthens respect for human rights and fundamental freedoms and promotes understanding of tolerance and friendship across all groups, is what it said. But when we unpack the language, we have to consider, when we talk about understanding, are people being fully seen in their intersectional identities? When we consider tolerance, are people being welcomed and affirmed or simply tolerated? And when we speak of friendship, is there genuine connection, belonging, and equitable participation? All of which are too often blocked by structural inequalities. Education grounded in justice becomes a pathway to liberation, and our responsibility is to ensure the right to learn is inseparable from the right to belong, thrive, and lead. In doing so, this work not only examines inequity, but actively contributes to the global effort to align educational systems within human rights standards, ensuring that Black male students are not positioned at the margins of these rights, but fully centered within them.
Phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal work by these 4 newly minted scholars. Thank you very much for showcasing your brilliance here this evening. We are ecstatic that we have this newly minted series. This will not be the last time you hear from these phenomenal scholars. We are working on a whole series of opportunities for our newly minted group, and we look forward to sharing that information with you. A couple of things, because we're 7 minutes over time. I actually see that as a victory. We would be much longer, because there is so much to talk about. As you can see, the conversation is so rich and meaningful, and the individuals here care so deeply about the Black doctoral experience. So thank you very much for sharing your expertise, to all of the panelists and to our newly minted scholars here, our speakers, and also newly minted scholars who have joined us as well. Thank you very much for being here this evening. A couple of things. The Permanent Forum 5th session the meeting in Geneva, Switzerland actually starts on April 14th through the 17th. So we're a little bit ahead of the curve in terms of this being an official side event. Even if you look at the schedule that's posted in the chat, you'll see that most of the side events begin next month. So we're really kind of in a good position because we have a little bit of time to get our recommendations together. And as I mentioned, I want to reach out to some seasoned scholars to share this video with them, so that they can share some feedback as well, because we're building here, and we definitely want to make sure that we include the voices of individuals who have created pathways for us to be here this evening. We will also be sharing some updates on the Black Doctorates Matter LinkedIn page. We have an article, a new LinkedIn article that we're going to be posting and sharing with you all. In addition to some updates, everyone who is in this session will be getting updates about our events and activities going forward. So we are delighted that you joined us tonight. Please stay tuned for this very important work from our 4 panelists and our newly minted scholars. We will definitely keep you informed about the work that is going on. I'm going to ask soon-to-be-DoctorTim Herd if he could do one of his legendary screenshots for us so that we can get that screenshot out on social media. I don't think anyone can take a screenshot like soon-to-be-DoctorTim Herd.
Dr. Felder-Small, I appreciate your confidence. All right, y'all. I'm gonna go ahead and capture the moment, capture all this energy in the space, and allow it to fuel us as we go about our respective days. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and do a couple photos. I give y'all a countdown.
If you could turn your cameras on, turn your cameras on, folks. Turn your cameras on just for a couple seconds. Couple seconds for us. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Dr. JT. I appreciate you. I'm gonna give folks a second, and we're gonna get into it. Okay. Smile. Oh, look! Come on, look at all this participation. Thank you. Okay, I see some are loading. All right, I'm gonna give it 3, 2, 1. Cheese. Appreciate it. Okay, hold that smile. Hold that smile. Hold that smile. I'm gonna do another one. Shifting over to the other page. 3, 2, 1. Cheese. Cool. I appreciate it. Thank you all.
Wonderful. All right, thank you very much. And please, in your work, in your practice, think a little bit more about those Universal Declaration of Human Rights and ways that your work connects to it. And let's shift the energy in the atmosphere in terms of our priority in our focus on human rights work and the ways that we encourage others to think about our human rights in our day-to-day practice. So thank you for joining us. I am going to sign off now, and we'll definitely be in touch with everyone via email with a follow-up. Thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.